Hello and welcome to our video on the controversial topic of why Michael Jackson chose to settle the 1993 case if he was truly innocent. Michael Jackson, one of the most famous and beloved entertainers of all time, was accused of sexually abusing a 13-year-old boy named Jordan Chandler. The case, which shook the world, was settled out of court for a reported sum of $20 million. Many people have been left puzzled and confused as to why Jackson, who boldly denied the allegations against him, would choose to settle if he was truly innocent. In this video, we will explore deeper into the circumstances surrounding the case, examine the evidence presented, and explore the possible reasons behind Jackson's decision to settle. We'll take a closer look at the role of the media, the public's perception of Jackson, and the potential impact that a lengthy trial could have had on his career and personal life. Join us as we seek to uncover the truth behind one of the most controversial cases in pop culture history. In 1992, whilst driving along Wilshire Boulevard in Beverly Hills, Michael Jackson's car broke down. The wife of an employee of a car rental business, Rent-A-Wreck, spotted him and notified her husband. The owner of Rent-A-Wreck, Dave Schwartz, was married to June Chandler Schwartz, and once he realized who Jackson was, he notified her and her son to come over to meet the star. Dave and June then insisted that Jackson call the boy, which he did 1 or 2 months later. With the Chandlers being, seemingly, good-hearted people who helped him out of a jam, and with Jackson often gravitating toward regular families so he could escape the life and pressures of fame, a friendship that would come to change their lives forever struck between them. This year marks the 30th anniversary since the Chandler allegations broke, so by now, the public will likely believe it's heard and seen everything. But that's not true. There's one glaring omission from the story that the media will never share with you.
I ask all of you to wait and hear the truth before you label or condemn me. Don't treat me like a criminal, because I am innocent.
Before his introduction to the Chandlers, for many years, Jackson had been trying to break into the film industry with no success. Caroline Thompson, the writer of Edward Scissorhands, penned an idea called Midnight, but the project went nowhere. Caroline Thompson said, "Tim Burton again," which distressed him. At any rate, he threw himself into this project for Michael Jackson, which we called Midnight. I think the reason we decided to do a story about a knight was that a knight usually wears a helmet mask, and we wanted to cover Michael's face, because we thought a film audience wouldn't take him seriously as an actor. We ourselves had a hard time taking him seriously as an actor. However, Jackson's string of disappointments in entering the world of film was seemingly at an end in 1991 after he signed a lucrative contract with Sony that would have ensured he'd have his place in Hollywood. The deal further assures that Jackson will star in his first feature since the 1978's The Wiz. People close to the talk said that he will be paid at least $5 million to appear in a musical action adventure based on his own ideas. The movie deal is largely to the result of Jackson's friendship with Columbia Pictures co-chairman John Peters and his partner, Peter Guber. Company officials said further films may follow if the first, set for a 1992 release, is a success. Jackson is also supposed to be given offices on Columbia's Culver City lot. Jackson then went to work planning a production company of his own, which was to be called Lost Boys Productions. That's a little-known fact about Jackson's business life, but it's a major one to bear in mind. Jackson would meet June's ex-husband and Jordan's father, Evan, a dentist and rookie screenwriter. Chandler had co-written the screenplay for the movie Robin Hood, Men in Tights, before meeting Jackson. According to June, Jordan contributed to the story. And as things turned sour between Jackson and Evan Chandler due to the latter's expectations and demands from Jackson, an overlooked but vital element of this story, painter David Nordahl, who Jackson had hired to design the logo for Lost Boys Productions, was privy to the situation. Before Jordan made any allegations, they first arose from his father. And after the threat of making them public was delivered, Evan laid down his demands. His lawyer, Barry Rothman, decided to structure the payment in the form of Jackson financing Evan's screenplays over the course of 4 years. Chandler demanded a specific amount, $20 million, which he stated was a number designed to punish Jackson. He picked the number because it seemed like an amount that would not only compensate his son to the extent that money could, but also be high enough to punish Michael Jackson. David Nordahl knows differently. It wasn't just a random number. In an interview, Nordahl revealed, "I was working on sketches for his film production company, called Lost Boys Productions. Sony had given Michael $40 million to start this production company, and that little boy's dad, Evan Chandler, who considered himself to be show business material, because he had written part of a script. After that he considered himself a Hollywood screenwriter, and being friends with Michael and his son being friends with Michael, this guy had assumed that Michael was going to make him a partner in this film production company, and that's where the $20 million figure came from. He wanted half of that Sony money. It was proven, it was an extortion." Jackson's attorney, Bert Fields, and PI Anthony Pellicano attempted to handle the situation. Pellicano wanted to capture as much proof of the extortion as possible, and the negotiations he entertained with Chandler and Rothman were part of it. A de facto admittance from Ray Chandler, Evan's brother, that it was all about cash is that the allegations eventually spreading to the public were not Evan's fault. To Ray, it was Pellicano's error for not settling the matter with enough hush money. What sticks out like a sore thumb is that Chandler initially was adamant that he would not budge on the $20 million, as that amount would be the ultimate payback against Jackson. But after becoming aware that time was running short and he'd lose his leverage by returning Jordan to his mother, Evan was willing to accept the measly $1 million put to him by Pellicano. Evan Chandler estimated justice for his son at $20 million and not a penny less. And then he devalued its worth to $1 million, which was, in his own words, chump change. With that fact in mind, how can anyone argue his monetary demands were about justice and not about having the money from Jackson's production company? Of course, one could argue that this is only the word of one man, David Nordahl. But if that's the case, how did film industry insiders know that Chandler sought a $20 million financing deal with Jackson? Film industry sources have said that the boy's father sought a $20 million movie production and financing deal with Jackson. These insiders shouldn't have had a way of knowing this information, as what happened between Jackson and Chandler was meant to be only discussed privately behind closed doors between their camps. Jackson's chances of a victory were slim by the time he agreed to make the settlement, which was down to the judge not delaying the civil trial during the ongoing criminal investigation. He was up against multiple hardships and disadvantages. Number 1, evidence from the civil trial could have been used against him in the criminal trial, potentially harming his defense. Number 2, the media's hostility toward him clarified how they would have covered the civil trial. So no matter the verdict, it inevitably would have negatively impacted his public image, which would have hurt his music sales. Number 3, the civil trial could have dragged on for months, not counting possible appeals, causing high financial costs for Jackson and his business investors, including legal fees and potential lost revenue from canceled projects and endorsements. Additionally, the stress and distraction of the trial could have affected Jackson's mental and physical health and potentially impacted his ability to perform and create music. Jackson was always damned if he settled and damned if he didn't. It was still a no-brainer, however, given what he was up against. However, due to a lack of evidence, the criminal investigation closed in September 1994, 8 months after the settlement agreement between Jackson and the Chandlers and 2 months after the family ceased cooperating with investigators.
They turned my room upside down, went through all my books, all my videotapes, all my private things, and they found nothing that can say Michael Jackson did this. Nothing.
But let me ask you
to
a
this
couple
day,
of questions.
nothing. Still nothing.
Let me ask you a couple.
Nothing.
In conclusion, you more than likely now know more than you did. But why couldn't those in the media industry have informed you of this? It's because the story about Jackson being innocent and blackmailed by a desperate, money-hungry nobody trying to make it big in Hollywood wasn't as tantalizing and profitable in the long run as the tale about the most famous man in the world being a child-molesting monster. The omission, muddying and spin of facts, such as the awareness of Jackson's production company, worked wonders in Evan Chandler obtaining his millions. And it certainly does the same for an industry that will continue to harvest from the goldmine that is, even in death, Michael Jackson. The media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent, and that's power. Because they control the minds of the masses. It's important to note that settling a case does not necessarily imply guilt. In the case of Michael Jackson, like I said before, settling the 1993 case may have been a strategic move to avoid a lengthy and costly legal battle, protect his reputation, and focus on his music career. It's also important to remember that he was never found guilty of any wrongdoing in either the 1993 or 2005 cases. Michael Jackson remained a beloved icon in the music industry until his untimely death in 2009. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you for watching this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.